The Apple Card sucks and I'm tired of people defending it. Apple's marketing has convinced everyone that this is a revolutionary financial tool, but really it's just another mediocre cashback credit card with a shiny exterior. Despite the Apple Card's hype, it falls short in nearly every single category that matters. It's time to stop defending the Apple Card and call it what it is, an overpriced status symbol masquerading as innovation. So let me first explain how the Apple Card works and how its reward structure is set up. It gives you 3% back at Apple and then some other select merchants like Exxon and Uber, 2% back when you use Apple Pay, and then 1% back when you just use the physical card. So if you know a little bit about credit cards, you might think, hey, that's not that bad. Pretty much everyone takes Apple Pay, so getting a flat percent back is actually pretty good. But before you Apple Card lovers start spamming hate comments, let me explain why I don't think anyone should be opening up this credit card with some irrefutable logic. So there are 11 US Bank co-branded credit cards that are under the Kroger branded supermarkets. These cards give you things like 3% back on dining and fuel, 2% back inside of their stores, but what we're really here for is 5% when you use mobile wallet pay, which obviously absolutely destroys Apple's measly 2% when you're using Apple Pay. These cards also give you a $100 statement credit after you spend $500 within the first 3 months. And not only can these Kroger cards earn 5% back when you're using Apple Pay, you can also get 5% back in any mobile wallet. So that means Androids can earn 5% back when they use something like Samsung or Google Pay. To get that 2% back on the Apple Card, you have to use Apple Pay, and that's obviously going to shut out the half of the nation that has Androids. Before you go and apply for these Kroger cards, there's one big catch, and that's the 5% back is capped at $3,000 worth of spend. And that works for some other people that have different credit cards and they don't need to rely on one card for all their rewards, but I understand that $3,000 a year isn't very much in spend. But that's okay because you have two other options. Number one is get another one of these cards. Like I said, there's 11 of these co-branded cards. So in theory, you could open up multiple of these. And once you hit the 3 cap spend on one card, move to the next. One of my subscribers actually did this and he ended up getting almost 5% back on every single one of his purchases using this method. But I understand opening up multiple credit cards and tracking your reward limit is not something that most people want to do. But that's okay because we have option number 2. And that is get a flat rate credit card like the Citi Double Cash that gives you 2% back on every single one of your purchases, regardless if you use it in Apple Pay or not. Cards like the Citi Double Cash and Wells Fargo Active Cash give you that 2% back on every single one of your purchases, as well as giving you a $200 sign-up bonus. And the Apple Card gives you no sign-up bonus at all. Just to make up for the value of that sign-up bonus, you'd have to spend $10,000 on Apple Pay with the Apple Card to recoup that value. So in summary, if you're spending under $3,000 with Apple Pay, you can get one of the Kroger cards and get 5% back. But if you're spending more than $3,000 on Apple Pay, just get a flat rate 2% card like the Citi Double Cash, Wells Fargo's Active Cash, or PNC Bank's Cash Unlimited. Now, I could end the video here, but I know there's a lot of Apple Card fans out there that are going to take more convincing. Usually when people argue for this card, they argue that you're always going to be using Apple Pay and getting that 2% back. However, I still see people use the physical card all the time to buy stuff where they could use Apple Pay. I knew college was a scam as soon as my finance professor took out his Apple Card and started bragging about how cool it was and how he threw it down on the table. And I was sitting there like, oh, well, you know, if you throw it down on that table, then you're only earning 1% back and not the 2% with Apple Pay. Therefore, you're not using this card right, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point is, people are actually happy sacrificing 1% and using the physical card because the physical card is made of titanium and it's so cool, which is honestly a genius strategy by Apple. And I know that most places do take Apple Pay, but not every single place takes Apple Pay. Take Walmart, for example. To this day, you still aren't able to use Apple Pay to buy anything from them. Another reason why I do not like this card, and this isn't necessarily the card's problem, but a lot of people end up in a lot of debt because of this card. If you ever watch financial shows like Dave Ramsey or Caleb Hammer, where they're going over people's debt, you'll see that one of the most common cards that people are in debt with is the Apple Card. And that's for 2 reasons. The first is that it's very, very easy to get the Apple Card with you only needing a 600 credit score to get approved. And then they also tend to give you a very, very high credit limit. Even if you start out with a low credit limit, they give you automatic increases, so you will eventually end up with a pretty high limit. But because this is an Apple product, a lot of people applying for this card aren't too financially literate and don't know how to use or manage credit properly. So essentially, this card attracts people with little financial literacy and bad credit scores, and then gives them a very, very high credit limit to play with. And then obviously, because those people have bad money and credit card management skills, and a very high credit limit to use, they end up in a lot of debt. That is like giving a toddler a loaded gun. However, that gun actually backfired on Apple because a lot of people got this card and bought really expensive things, maybe MacBooks with it, and then just didn't make payments on the card. So Apple had to sell a lot of that debt off to collections for pennies on the dollar. The next thing that I don't like about this card is a feature that people claim helps beginners understand credit cards. There's a little wheel that tells you how much interest you're going to pay depending on the amount of money you put towards your balance. And people say that this wheel helps show people how much money that they're going to pay in interest if they don't make full payments. But here's the truth. A very, very small percent of the population are actually credit card people. If you pay even a cent of interest on your credit card, game over, you lost, you're not a credit card person. That 2% back from Apple is never going to make a difference if you're paying a 30% interest rate. Credit cards should only be used if you're going to pay them off in full every single month and get free travel and cash back, not borrowing money that you don't have to buy things that you don't need on a cancerous interest rate. In my opinion, this little wheel that Apple has makes people more comfortable carrying a balance on their credit card, even if it's a small one. And I know that a lot of people are going to disagree with what I'm saying so far, but let me just ask you a question. Would you still be defending the Apple Card like you are if it looked exactly like the Quicksilver card from Capital One? I mean, take a minute to look at it and really think about it. Forget about that cool titanium card that's coming in nice packaging. Instead, you get this flimsy plastic card in a plain white envelope. Because I get it, I've been there. When I was 17, I watched a Graham Stephan video that I should get a credit card to start building up my credit. And instead of getting one of the beginner cards that he recommended, I went and I applied for the Apple Card. And literally the only reason why is because I wanted the metal card. I thought that would be cool. I was declined because I had literally no credit score at all, and I was 17, so I wasn't even old enough to open up a credit card at the time. But I definitely get the appeal of the metal card. And as much as I like going and getting a cool metal card, we have to remind ourselves that we're not playing Pokemon here and we're not collecting cool Pokemon cards. These are financial products and need to be treated like that. In this next section, I want to address and refute some of the top comments that I see in mine and other people's comment sections defending this card. So the first is that this card is helpful when you want to build credit. And that's true, it will build you credit, but this isn't going to do a better job of building credit than all the other cards that do come with better rewards. And also you can get approved for that Citi Double Cash with a low credit score too. Another popular defense is that this card is good for buying Apple products because it gives you 3%. And that's true, but you can just buy things from Apple with a 2% back credit card. Let's say you buy a MacBook for maybe $1,000 or $2,000. The difference between a 2% and a 3% back credit card is going to be like what, an extra $10, $20? Plus you could use that spend and hit the sign up bonus on the Citi Double Cash. Plus that card comes with an extended warranty protection, meaning you're not going to have to pay for Apple Care for a whole nother year. The next popular defense for the Apple Card is the user experience that the cardholder gets. And I'll actually give the Apple Card props on this. It does have probably the best user interface out of any other credit cards. And sure, it's cool to see your spending visualized in colorful charts on the Apple Wallet, but is it really worth sacrificing extra rewards, sign-up bonus, and perks? Another defense for this card, usually used by more experienced people, is that this card has no foreign transaction fees, meaning that you can use it anywhere in the world for free. And that's true, but there's also many other better credit cards that offer no annual fee and no foreign transaction fee. For example, there's the PNC Bank Cash Unlimited that also gives you 2% back on every single one of your purchases, regardless of whether you use Apple Pay or not, while giving you a $250 sign-up bonus and benefits like cell phone and purchase protection. The next argument that you're going to see people say is that with this card, you have the option to finance Apple products with zero interest. And I'll go ahead and give it this one. But you got to ask yourself, should you really be buying something if you need to take advantage of a zero APR period? When I was a freshman in college, I opened up my old Chromebook just to see that it was completely shattered. I think I stepped on it or it fell out of my backpack or something. And at the time, I didn't have enough money to buy a brand new computer. So what I did is went to Back Market and then financed a MacBook through a firm, and I made payments on it for zero APR. Now you can't do this directly from Apple, but if you want to get a refurbished one for like Back Market, then you can take advantage of that. Another defense for the Apple Card is that when you have it, you also get a high yield savings account that comes with it. But here's the thing, there's completely free, better high yield savings accounts out there that you can go and open up in 5 minutes. Plus, I don't think this high yield savings account is going to be around very much longer because Chase is about to take over the Apple Card, and I doubt that they're going to keep that high yield savings account. So you're probably wondering, if this card's so mediocre, why do you see so many influencers making videos with thousands or even millions of views talking about why this credit card is so good. And that's because those videos tend to get thousands or millions of views. The Apple Card is a very popular product and it has a wider appeal than the more obscure credit cards that give you better rewards. So it's very easy for creators here on YouTube to go and make a video like top 3 benefits with the Apple Card or why you need the Apple Card in 2024, because you're almost guaranteed to get a lot of views with it. Plus, a lot of those YouTubers have affiliate links for the Apple Card. So if they convince someone to apply after talking about how good it is, then they make even more money off of that affiliate commission. There's really only one valid argument as to why you would get this credit card. It's a very easy approval. It's also one of the few credit cards that show you your starting limit before you get a hard inquiry on your credit report. Plus, there's a trick to avoid getting a hard inquiry at all. If you go up to the point of the application where you see the credit limit they give you, go and freeze your credit reports and then press accept card, then a lot of times you're not going to get that hard pull at all. So maybe if you're someone that has just graduated college and you have a little bit of credit built up, you want to get this card, use that hack, and strengthen your credit profile. But I still think there's a lot better starter credit cards out there. Plus, I think that easy approval is going to go away pretty soon. Although this is Apple's product, Apple's not a bank, so they had to partner with Goldman Sachs Bank to make this credit card possible. And while at first this looked like the perfect partnership, after they let so many risky borrowers get this credit card and then people maxed out the limit and didn't make any payments on this card, they lost billions of dollars. So now Goldman Sachs is leaving this partnership and wants nothing to do with the Apple Card anymore. And now Apple is looking for a new bank to back this card, and right now Chase is about to replace Goldman Sachs as that bank sponsoring the Apple Card. So let's talk about how this is going to affect the Apple Card. First of all, the approvals and credit limits are going to be way stricter. Chase isn't terribly strict with their credit limits and approvals, but they're definitely not going to make the same mistake that Goldman Sachs did with giving people with bad credit scores $20,000 limit. Chase would probably also kill the high yield savings account connected to the Apple Card. Chase has never had a high yield savings account. They've always given you 0.01, which is one of the lowest rates in the nation, so I don't see them keeping the savings account. Some people have speculated that the Apple Card could earn Chase points, kind of like the Freedom Flex or Freedom Unlimited, and then that way you could take the points from the Apple Card and redeem them for cash back, but you would also have the option to get one of Chase's travel credit cards like the Sapphire Preferred and then redeem the points for higher value. But I really doubt that they're going to do that. I think that they're going to handle this card the same way as the Amazon Prime Visa and keep it as just a plain cashback card. Some people have speculated that they might turn it into a plastic credit card, but I don't think that's going to happen because pretty much the main appeal of the Apple Card is it being metal. So if they killed that, they would kill so much of the hype that comes with the card. I could see Chase making some slight improvements to this card, maybe throwing in a sign-up bonus or adding a little bit better rewards category. But overall, I think Chase taking it over is going to be a positive thing. Now that we've covered that, I want to make one thing clear. If you already have this credit card open, there's no reason to close it down. It's no annual fee, so you might as well just keep it open to keep building credit history with it. And if you don't have another card that gives you 2% back, you can use Apple Pay and get that, that's fine. And one more thing, do you know what the most popular defense was for the Apple Card? People saying that they just like, and guess what, that's fine. No one made me credit card Jesus, and if you're willing to get a card with no sign-up bonus and potentially earn a little bit less cash back to get a cool metal card, that's fine. You can do whatever you want, as long as you know that going into it. If you really want a cool metal credit card, I would suggest looking into the Gemini credit card. That gives you 4% back on your gas and EV charging, 3% back on your dining, and then 2% back on your groceries. You're also going to earn all your rewards in crypto, and they have a limited time $200 sign-up bonus that's going on right now. I made a full breakdown of that card right here. Also, if you want to see how the Apple credit card stacks up against all its competitors, I made a breakdown of every single flat rate credit card that you can watch right here. I'm sure that there's still some Apple Card defenders watching this, so go ahead and comment down why you think this is a good credit card and what changes you think Chase will make to it.